The lab was empty except for two students working late into the night. Most people had gone home hours ago, but Alex needed to finish his research project. He was studying special genetic patterns for his graduate degree, and this work could change everything for his future. At the other end of the lab, Maya was carefully mixing chemicals for her own experiment. She always stayed late because she preferred working alone. People at the university thought she was strange. She never ate with others in the cafeteria, always brought her own food from home, and somehow every stray cat on campus seemed to follow her around. Maya had grown up knowing she was different. Her grandmother used to tell her stories about their family's special gifts, but Maya never really believed them. She thought they were just old tales from her grandmother's village back home. Alex glanced over at Maya as she worked. Her long black hair fell like a curtain around her face, and there was something graceful about the way she moved. He had noticed her in classes before, but never found the courage to talk to her. She seemed to live in her own world. The accident happened so fast. Maya was reaching for a bottle of solution when her sleeve caught on some equipment. The bottle tipped over, spilling chemicals across the table. At the same time, some wires sparked from an old machine nearby. "Watch out," Alex shouted, dropping his notes. Without thinking, he rushed over and grabbed Maya's wrist, pulling her away from the sparking equipment and spreading chemicals. The moment their skin touched, something incredible happened. A small mark on Maya's neck, usually hidden by her hair, began to glow with a soft blue light. Both of them felt like lightning had shot through their bodies. It wasn't painful, but it was powerful and strange. Maya's eyes went wide with shock. She looked down at Alex's hand still holding her wrist, then touched her neck where the mark was glowing. "No, no, no," she whispered. "This can't be happening." Alex stared at the glowing mark, then at Maya's frightened face. "What is that? Are you okay? Did the chemicals hurt you?" But Maya was already pulling away from him. The glow faded as soon as they broke contact, but Alex could still feel a strange tingling in his hand where he had touched her. "I have to go," Maya said, grabbing her bag with shaking hands. "Wait, Maya, you might be hurt. We should call someone. Maybe go to the hospital." "No," she said louder than Alex had ever heard her speak. "I'm fine. Just forget this happened." She ran out of the lab, leaving Alex standing alone among the spilled chemicals and broken equipment. He looked at his hand, still feeling that strange energy. What had just happened? That night, Alex couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Maya's frightened face and that mysterious glowing mark. He had studied biology for years, but he had never seen anything like that. Was it some kind of reaction to the chemicals? But chemicals don't make birthmarks glow. Around 3 in the morning, he finally fell asleep. But his dreams were unlike anything he had ever experienced. He was running through a thick forest, his feet barely touching the ground. The air smelled like pine and rain, and somewhere ahead of him, someone was calling his name. In the dream, he could hear sounds more clearly than ever before. Birds in the trees, small animals moving through the bushes, even the sound of water flowing over rocks far away. His body felt stronger, faster, more alive than it had ever felt. When he woke up, Alex felt exhausted, like he had really been running all night. But there was something else too. He felt restless, like he needed to find something or someone. The feeling was so strong it made his chest tight. Meanwhile, across town, Maya was having her own strange night. She had rushed home and locked herself in her room, but sleep wouldn't come. The mark on her neck felt warm, and she kept touching it in the mirror. It looked normal now, just a small birthmark, shaped like a crescent moon that she had always had. But she knew what had happened. Her grandmother's stories weren't just tales after all. Maya's dreams were the same as Alex's. She was running through the forest, but she wasn't alone. Someone was running beside her. Someone who felt familiar even though she couldn't see his face clearly. In the dream, she felt complete in a way she never had before. She woke up feeling like part of her was missing. There was an empty feeling in her chest, and she couldn't stop thinking about Alex. Not just thinking about him, but feeling pulled toward him, like a magnet drawing her back to the lab. Maya tried to eat breakfast, but nothing tasted right. She tried to read her textbooks, but the words wouldn't focus. Every few minutes, she found herself walking toward her front door before stopping herself. At the same time, Alex was having the same experience. He kept finding excuses to walk past the biology building, hoping to catch a glimpse of Maya. When he sat in the cafeteria, he would look around for her dark hair and quiet presence. By afternoon, both of them realized something had changed inside them. It wasn't just curiosity about what had happened in the lab. It was deeper than that, more urgent. They both felt like they needed to understand what was happening to them. Alex decided to research everything he could find about glowing birthmarks, strange genetic reactions, and unusual biological phenomena. He spent hours in the library, but nothing he found explained what he had seen. Maya, on the other hand, decided it was time to call her grandmother and ask about those old family stories. She had avoided those conversations for years, thinking they belonged to the past. But now she needed answers. As the sun set on that strange day, both Alex and Maya knew their lives had changed forever. Neither of them understood how or why, but they both felt it in their bones. Something had awakened between them in that laboratory, something that connected them in ways they couldn't explain. The pull they felt toward each other was getting stronger by the hour. Soon, they would have to face each other again and figure out what had really happened when Alex grabbed Maya's wrist and changed both their lives forever. Maya looked at her phone. Alex's number visible in the student directory. Her finger hovered over the call button. Part of her wanted to reach out, to explain, to warn him about what might be happening to them both. But another part of her was terrified of what it might mean. Alex stood outside the biology building as the last light faded from the sky. He didn't know why he was there, but his feet had carried him there without him deciding to go. Somewhere in his mind, he hoped Maya might come back, that they could talk about what had happened and make sense of it together. Neither of them knew that their lives had just become connected in ways that couldn't be undone, and that tomorrow would bring even more changes they weren't prepared for. The next morning, Maya woke up feeling like someone was squeezing her chest. She had barely slept, and when she did, those strange farce dreams came back. But it was more than just tiredness. There was a physical ache in her body, like she was missing something important. She tried to go about her normal routine, shower, breakfast, getting ready for classes. But every few minutes, she would stop what she was doing and look toward the door. Her body wanted to go somewhere, and she knew exactly where it wanted to go. Back to Alex. This was exactly what her grandmother had warned her about in those old stories. Maya picked up her phone and dialed the number she knew by heart. "Grandmother, it's me. I need to ask you about the family stories you used to tell." There was a long pause on the other end. "Which stories, Maya?" "The ones about the mark, about finding the right person. I thought they were just tales, but something happened yesterday." Her grandmother's voice became serious. "Maya, where are you? I'm coming over right now." Meanwhile, across campus, Alex was having his own strange morning. He had woken up with the same chest-tightening feeling that Maya was experiencing. He tried to focus on his morning classes, but he couldn't concentrate. His mind kept wandering to Maya, wondering if she was okay, if she was thinking about him too. During his biology lecture, he found himself looking at the door every few minutes, hoping Maya might walk in. When she didn't show up, the uncomfortable feeling in his chest got worse. By lunchtime, he felt like he might be getting sick. Alex decided to skip his afternoon classes and went looking for Maya. He checked the library, the cafeteria, even the quiet study spots where he had seen her before, but she was nowhere to be found. The longer he searched without finding her, the worse he felt. When Maya's grandmother arrived at her apartment, she took one look at her granddaughter and knew immediately what had happened. "Show me your neck," she said gently. Maya pulled her hair aside, revealing the small crescent-shaped mark. It wasn't glowing now, but it looked darker than usual, more defined. "Oh, my dear child," her grandmother whispered. "It has awakened." "What does that mean?" What's happening to me? Her grandmother sat down and took Maya's hands. Our family carries something special in our blood. It's been passed down for hundreds of years. Most of the time, it stays sleeping. But sometimes, when we meet the right person, it wakes up. The right person? You mean Alex, the young man who touched you? Yes. The mark only responds to someone who is truly compatible with your spirit. It's like your souls recognize each other. Maya shook her head. That's impossible. I barely know him. The mark doesn't care if you know him or not. It sees deeper than that. It sees who he really is inside and who you are inside, and it knows you belong together. But I don't want to belong to anyone, Maya said, tears starting to form in her eyes. I like being independent. I like making my own choices. Her grandmother's expression was kind but serious. I know, dear, but fighting this will only make you both sick. The bond grows stronger every hour you're apart. Eventually, it becomes impossible to ignore. As if to prove her point, Maya suddenly felt a sharp pain in her chest. She gasped and grabbed the edge of the table. He's looking for you, her grandmother said quietly. You can feel it, can't you? Maya nodded, unable to speak. She could feel Alex's presence somewhere on campus, could sense his worry and confusion. It was like having someone else's emotions mixed up with her own at that exact moment. Alex was standing outside Maya's apartment building. He didn't know how he had found it. He had just started walking, following some instinct he couldn't explain, and his feet had brought him here. The closer he got to the building, the better he felt. He stood on the sidewalk, looking up at the windows, wondering which one was Maya's. Part of him wanted to go inside and find her, but another part of him knew that would be crazy. They barely knew each other. But the feeling in his chest was getting stronger. It was like his body was telling him that Maya was nearby, that she needed him, that he needed her. Inside the apartment, Maya suddenly stood up. He's here. He's right outside. Her grandmother looked surprised. Already? The bond is moving faster than I expected. What am I supposed to do? I can't just ignore him forever. No, you can't. Fighting this bond will hurt both of you. You need to at least talk to him, explain what's happening. Maya looked out her window and saw Alex standing on the sidewalk below, even from a distance. She could see the tension in his shoulders, the way he kept running his hands through his hair. When she saw him, the pain in her chest immediately lessened. This is crazy, she whispered. I know it seems that way, but Maya, this gift has been in our family for generations. Your great-great-grandmother had it. She fought it for months and nearly died from the separation sickness. When she finally accepted it, she had the happiest marriage you could imagine. Maya watched Alex pace back and forth on the sidewalk. She could feel his restlessness, his confusion, his need to understand what was happening to him. What if he thinks I'm crazy? What if he doesn't believe any of this? He's feeling the same things. You are. The bond affects both people equally. He knows something has changed, even if he doesn't understand what. Taking a deep breath, Maya grabbed her jacket. I'm going down there. Her grandmother smiled. Good. But Maya, remember, this bond is just the beginning. It doesn't create love automatically. It just creates the potential for it, what you build. From here is up to both of you. Maya nodded and headed for the door. As she walked down the stairs, she could feel Alex's presence getting stronger. By the time she reached the building entrance, the uncomfortable feeling in her chest had almost disappeared. When Alex saw her coming out of the building, he felt immediate relief. The tight feeling he had been carrying all day finally loosened. But he also felt embarrassed. Maya, I'm sorry. I don't know why I came here. I don't even know how I found your address. It's okay, she said quietly. I know why you're here. They stood looking at each other for a moment. Both of them could feel that strange energy between them, that pull. That had brought them together. We need to talk, Maya said. There are things you need to know about what happened yesterday. Things that might sound impossible, but I promise they're true. Alex nodded. He had been hoping she would say that. He needed answers. And somehow he knew that Maya was the only person who could give them to him. There's a quiet coffee shop round the corner, Maya suggested. We can't talk there. As they walked side by side, both of them noticed how much better they felt when they were close to each other. The world seemed more colorful, the air easier to breathe. Neither of them said it out loud, but they both knew that whatever was happening between them was just getting started, and somewhere in the back of both their minds, they wondered if their lives would ever be normal again. At the coffee shop, Maya and Alex sat across from each other, both holding warm cups but neither really drinking. The conversation they were about to have would change everything. "You're going to think I'm crazy," Maya said, staring into her. "Coffee, try me," Alex replied. "After what happened yesterday, I'm ready to believe almost anything." Maya took a deep breath and started talking. She told him about her grandmother's stories, about the special traits that ran in her family, about the mark on her neck and what it meant. She explained how the bond worked, why they both felt sick when they were apart, and why Alex had been able to find her apartment without knowing her address. Alex listened quietly, asking questions here and there, but mostly just trying to understand. Part of him wanted to laugh and say it was all impossible, but the scientist in him was fascinated, and the part of him that had been feeling strange all day knew she was telling the truth. "So this bond," he said when she finished, "it's permanent?" "According to my grandmother, yes," she says, fighting. "It only makes both people sick. The bond gets stronger over time, not weaker." Alex was quiet for a long moment. "What does this mean for us? I mean, we're basically strangers." "I know. That's what makes this so difficult. My grandmother wants to meet you, by the way. She says she can explain things better than I can. Your grandmother knows about this. She's been waiting for it to happen my whole life. She says she can always tell which family members will develop the bond and which ones won't." They decided to go back to Maya's apartment together. The walk there was strange but comfortable. Both of them noticed how much better they felt when they stayed close to each other. When Alex accidentally brushed against Maya's arm while walking, they both felt that same electric sensation from the lab. Maya's grandmother was waiting with tea and old photo albums when they arrived. She looked at Alex with interest, studying his face like she was solving a puzzle. "Yes," she said after a moment, "I can see why the bond chose you. You have kind eyes and a strong spirit." "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Alex started. "Call me Grandmother Way. Everyone does." She gestured for them to sit. "Maya has told you about our family gift." "She has, but I have to admit, it's hard to believe." Grandmother Way smiled. "Let me show you something." She opened one of the photo albums to a page with old pictures. "This is Maya's great-great-grandmother. Limp, she had the same mark Maya has." The photo showed a young woman with a crescent-shaped birthmark clearly visible on her neck. She was standing next to a tall man, both of them smiling. "Limp for the bond for 6 months." Grandmother Way continued. She thought she could choose her own husband, make her own decisions. But the separation sickness nearly killed her. "Separation sickness?" Alex asked. "What you both felt today when you were apart. The chest pain, the restlessness, the feeling like something is missing. It gets worse the longer you fight it." She turned the page to show more pictures of Lynn and her husband. When she finally accepted the bond, they became the happiest couple in their village. They had 6 children and were together for 53 years. Alex studied the photos. The couple in the pictures looked genuinely happy. Not like people who had been forced together by some supernatural bond. "But how do I know if what I'm feeling is real or just this bond making me feel it?" he asked. "That's the question everyone asks," Grandmother Way said. "The bond doesn't create fake feelings. It just makes you more aware of feelings that were already there. It helps you see someone's true character more clearly." Maya looked surprised. "I thought the bond made people fall in love automatically." "No, dear. The bond creates attraction and compatibility, but love still has to grow naturally. Some bonded couples become best friends but never fall in love romantically. Others become soulmates. It depends on who you are as people." This made both Alex and Maya feel better. The idea that they had some choice in how their relationship developed was comforting. "So what happens now?" Alex asked. "Now you spend time together." Grandmother Way said simply, "Get to know each other." See if you like each other as people, not just as bonded partners. Over the next few days, Alex and Maya started a strange new routine. They would meet for breakfast, attend classes when they could concentrate, and spend most of their free time together. They discovered that being within about 20 feet of each other kept the uncomfortable symptoms away. At first, it was awkward. They were basically strangers forced to spend time together. But slowly, they started learning about each other. Maya told Alex about growing up feeling different, about how animals seemed drawn to her, about her love for plants and quiet spaces. Alex shared his passion for science, his dreams of making important discoveries, his close relationship with his family back home. They found they had more in common than expected. Both loved old movies. Both preferred small groups to big parties. Both were night owls who did their best work after everyone else had gone to bed. The bond affected them in other ways too. Alex found that his senses were sharper when Maya was around. He could hear conversations from across the cafeteria, smell rain coming hours before it started. Maya discovered that her already strong intuition about people became even stronger. She could tell what Alex was feeling even when he tried to hide it. But there were challenges too. Other students started noticing that Alex and Maya were always together. In their small graduate program, people began talking. "Are you two dating?" Their classmate Kevin asked one day. Maya and Alex looked at each other awkwardly. They weren't dating exactly, but they also couldn't explain the real reason they spent all their time together. "We're working on a research project together," Alex said, which wasn't entirely untrue. The questions from friends and classmates became more frequent. Maya's few close friends worried that she was becoming too dependent on Alex too quickly. Alex's study group wondered why he had suddenly become so antisocial. The hardest part was that they couldn't tell anyone the truth. Who would believe them? Even Alex sometimes wondered if he was just experiencing some kind of psychological reaction to a stressful situation. But then Maya would smile at him, or he would catch her scent when she walked by, and the bond would remind him that this was real. Whatever was happening between them was bigger than anything he had studied in his science classes. One evening, while they were studying together in the library, Maya noticed Alex staring at her instead of his books. "What?" she asked. "I was just thinking," he said. "A week ago, I didn't even know your full name. Now I can't imagine going a day without seeing you." Maya felt her cheeks warm. "Is that the bond talking, or are you talking?" Alex considered the question seriously. "I think it's me. The bond might have brought us together. But I genuinely like spending time with you. You're funny and smart, and you see the world in ways I never thought of, even though this whole situation is crazy, especially because it's crazy. A month ago, my biggest worry was whether I'd get a good grade on my thesis. Now I'm part of some ancient family mystery. It's terrifying and exciting at the same time." Maya laughed. "My grandmother says that's how you know the bond shows well. If you can laugh together about the impossible things, you can handle anything." As they packed up their books to leave, both of them realized they were no longer just trying to manage a supernatural bond. They were actually becoming friends, and maybe, eventually, something more. But they also knew that the real tests were still coming. The bond was still growing stronger, and soon they would have to decide what kind of relationship they wanted to build. Within these extraordinary circumstances, walking back to Maya's apartment together under the stars, both of them felt hopeful. For the first time since this all began, maybe being bonded didn't have to mean losing their freedom. Maybe it could mean finding something better than they had ever hoped for. 3 weeks after the bond formed, Alex woke up in the middle of the night feeling like he couldn't breathe. It wasn't the first time this had happened. The dreams were getting more intense, and sometimes he felt like he was losing pieces of himself. In the dreams, he wasn't just Alex anymore. He was someone running through force with Maya, someone who could hear her thoughts, someone who felt everything she felt. When he woke up, it took several minutes to remember who he was supposed to be. Maya was having the same problem. The night before, she had reached for her coffee cup and somehow known exactly how Alex liked his coffee, even though they had never talked about it. She was starting to know things about him that he had never told her. "This is getting scary," Maya said when they met for breakfast the next morning. "Yesterday, I knew you were upset about something before you even got to the library. I could feel it from across campus." Alex nodded grimly. "I woke up last night knowing you had a nightmare. Not because you told me, but because I felt like I had the nightmare too." They sat in uncomfortable silence for a moment. The bomb was supposed to make them closer, but instead it was making them feel like they were disappearing into each other. "I think we need to try staying apart for a while," Alex said finally. "Maybe we can weaken this thing if we don't give in to it." Maya looked relieved that he had said it first. "I was thinking the same thing. I love my independence. I don't want to become half of someone else." "How long should we try?" Alex asked, though even thinking about it made his chest feel tight. "A week, if we can make it a week apart. Maybe we can prove that we're stronger than this bond." They agreed to try it. Alex would stay on his side of campus. Maya would stay on hers. No texting, no calls, no meeting up. They would see if they could break the connection through sheer willpower. The first day was uncomfortable but manageable. Alex threw himself into his research, spending extra hours in the lab. Maya did the same, focusing on her studies and avoiding the places where she might run into Alex. By the second day, both of them were struggling. Alex found himself walking toward Maya's side of campus without realizing it. He would snap back to awareness halfway there and force himself to turn around. Maya kept picking up her phone to text Alex, then putting it down without sending anything. The third day was when things got really bad. Alex woke up feeling nauseous and dizzy. He tried to eat breakfast but couldn't keep it down. In his morning class, he couldn't focus on anything the professor said. The words seemed to echo strangely in his head. Maya was having similar problems. She felt weak and shaky, like she was coming down with the flu. But she knew it wasn't the flu. It was the separation sickness that Grandmother Way had warned them about. By the fourth day, both of them were seriously unwell. Alex's roommate Danny found him sitting on the floor of their dorm room at 3 in the morning, staring at nothing. "Dude, you look terrible," Danny said. "Are you sick? Should I call someone?" Alex wanted to explain, but how could he? "I'm fine. Just stressed about school." But he wasn't fine. His hands were shaking, and he kept feeling like something terrible was about to happen. Every noise seemed too loud, every light too bright. He felt like his skin didn't fit right on his body. Maya was hiding in her apartment, telling her friends she had the flu. But Grandmother Way came to check on her and immediately knew what was happening. "This has gone far enough," she said, looking at Maya's pale face and shaking hands. "You're making yourself sick. We need to know if we can break it," Maya whispered. "I can't live my whole life being half of someone else." "Child, you're not becoming half of someone else. You're becoming part of something bigger than yourself. There's a difference." "It doesn't feel different." Grandmother Way sat on the edge of Maya's bed. "Let me tell you about your great-aunt, Rose. She had the bond too, but she fought it for almost a year. She was determined to prove she didn't need anyone. What happened to her? She got so sick from fighting the bond that she ended up in the hospital. The doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. Finally, her bonded partner came to see her, even though she had been refusing to see him for months." Maya listened carefully. She had never heard this story before. The moment he walked into her hospital room, she started getting better, not because of magic, but because her body finally stopped fighting itself. They talked for hours, and Rose realized she had been afraid of the wrong thing. "What do you mean?" She thought the bond would make her weak and dependent, but what it actually did was make her stronger. Having someone who understood her completely, who supported her dreams, who wanted her to be the best version of herself, that didn't make her less than she was. It made her more. Maya felt tears starting. But what if Alex doesn't really care about me? What if it's just the bond making him think he does? "Maya, the bond doesn't create fake feelings. It just removes the barriers that usually keep people from seeing each other clearly. If Alex cares about you, it's because he sees who you really are. Meanwhile, Alex was having his own crisis. On the 5th day of separation, he couldn't get out of bed. His whole body ached, and he felt like he was forgetting something important but couldn't remember what. Danny finally called Alex's parents, worried that his roommate was having some kind of breakdown. When Alex's mom called, he broke down and told her everything about Maya, about the bond, about how he felt like he was losing his mind. Alex, his mother said gently, "It sounds like you care about this girl very much. But Mom, what if these feelings aren't real? What if I only think I care about her because of this supernatural thing? Honey, does it matter? If you care about her and she makes you happy, and you want to be a better person when you're with her, then those feelings are real. It doesn't matter what started them, but I'm supposed to be independent. I'm supposed to make my own choices." Who says you can't make your own choices? You can choose how to treat her, how to build a relationship with her, what kind of person you want to be with her. The bond might have brought you together, but what you do with that is still up to you. That conversation changed something for Alex. He realized he had been so focused on fighting the bond that he hadn't stopped to think about what he actually wanted. On the 6th day, Alex was walking to his morning class when he saw Maya across the quad. She looked as terrible as he felt, pale, shaky, and exhausted. The moment their eyes met, both of them felt immediate relief from the physical symptoms they had been experiencing. Without discussing it, they started walking toward each other. When they were close enough to talk, Alex spoke first. "This is ridiculous," he said. "We're making ourselves sick for no good reason." Maya nodded. "I miss you, not just because of the bond, but because I actually miss talking to you. I miss you too. I kept thinking of things I wanted to tell you, jokes I wanted to share with you." They stood there looking at each other, both realizing that the separation experiment had taught them something important. The bond wasn't their enemy. Their fear of the bond was. "So what do we do now?" Maya asked. "I think we stop fighting this and start figuring out how to make it work for us," Alex said. "We can still be ourselves. We can still make our own choices. We just do it together." Maya smiled for the first time in days. Grandmother Way says the bond is like a river. You can try to fight the current and exhaust yourself, or you can learn to navigate it and let it carry you somewhere beautiful. I'd like to see where it takes us, Alex said as they walked back toward Maya's apartment together. Both of them felt lighter than they had in days. They were done fighting something that couldn't be changed. Now they could focus on building something good from the extraordinary circumstances they found themselves in. The bond was still there, still connecting them in ways they didn't fully understand. But instead of seeing it as a prison, they were starting to see it as a gift, a chance to know someone more deeply than most people ever would, a chance to build something truly special together. 6 months later, Alex and Maya were sitting in their shared research lab, working side by side on what had become the most important project of their academic careers. They were documenting their own experience with the bond, turning their personal story into scientific research that could help others. The decision to stop fighting the bond had changed everything for them. Instead of feeling trapped, they felt like they had discovered something amazing about human connection and genetics. Their professors were fascinated by their research, even though they kept the more mystical aspects private. Dr. Johnson wants us to present our findings at the genetics conference next month, Alex said. Looking up from his computer, Maya smiled. "Are you nervous about sharing our story with a bunch of scientists?" "A little, but I think what we've learned could help other people who might be going through something similar." They had learned so much about themselves and each other over the past months. The bond had stabilized into something comfortable rather than overwhelming. They could still feel each other's emotions, but they had learned to maintain their individual identities while being connected. More importantly, they had discovered that they genuinely enjoyed each other's company. Beyond the supernatural connection, Alex loved Maya's quiet wisdom and her way of seeing beauty in small things. Maya loved Alex's enthusiasm for discovery and his ability to make her laugh even on difficult days. "My parents want to meet you," Alex said one afternoon while they were organizing their research notes. Maya looked up, surprised. "Really? You told them about the bond, I told them about you first, and then about the bond. They're curious about both. Alex had been talking to his family regularly about Maya and their unusual situation. His parents had been skeptical at first, but as they heard more about how happy Alex was, they became more accepting. What did you tell them exactly? Maya asked. Then I met an amazing girl who makes me want to be a better person, and that we're connected in ways that science is just beginning to understand. The trip to meet Alex's family was Maya's first time leaving the campus area since the bond formed. She was nervous about how the distance might affect them, but they discovered that their connection had grown strong, enough to handle short separations without problems. Alex's family lived in a small town 3 hours away. His parents, David and Linda, welcomed Maya warmly, though she could see the curiosity in their eyes. His younger sister Katie immediately bonded with Maya over their shared love of plants and animals. So you're the girl who's got my brother walking into walls because he's thinking about you all the time, Katie teased. Maya blushed. He told you that. He didn't have to. It's pretty obvious when someone's completely smitten. Over dinner, Alex's parents asked gentle questions about Maya's background and her family. When Maya mentioned her grandmother's stories about their family heritage, Alex's mother leaned forward with interest. My own grandmother used to tell stories about people with special gifts, Linda said. I always thought they were just fairy tales. Maybe they weren't, Maya said quietly. That evening, Alex and Maya took a walk around his neighborhood. The familiar streets of Alex's childhood felt different to Maya, warmer, more welcoming, like they were accepting her as part of Alex's life. Your family is wonderful, Maya said as they sat on a bench in the local park. They like you? I can tell. My mom keeps smiling every time she looks at you. Are you happy? Maya asked suddenly. Alex turned to look at her. What do you mean? I mean, do you ever regret what happened? Do you ever wish you could go back to before the bond? Alex thought about it seriously. 6 months ago, I would have said yes. I was scared of losing my independence. Scared that my feelings weren't real. But now, no, I don't regret it. Why not? Because you've made my life better. In every way. Not just because of the bond, but because of who you are. You've taught me to notice things I never saw before. You've made me more patient, more thoughtful. And you've shown me what it feels like to have someone understand me completely. Maya felt tears forming in her eyes. I feel the same way. Before I met you, I thought being alone was the same as being independent, but being with you has made me stronger, not weaker. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars come out over Alex's hometown. Both of them felt peaceful, in a way they hadn't experienced before the bond brought them together. When they returned to campus, they threw themselves into finishing their research project. They had documented not just the scientific aspects of their experience, but the emotional and psychological journey as well. Their work was becoming a comprehensive study of human bonding that went beyond anything previously recorded. The genetics conference was held at a major university in another state. Alex and Maya presented their findings to a room full of researchers and academics. They kept the presentation focused on the scientific observations, but the implications of their work were clear to everyone in the room. What you're describing challenges our basic understanding of human genetics and psychology, said one professor after their presentation. Have you been able to replicate these findings in other subjects? Maya and Alex looked at each other. We believe this trait is extremely rare. Maya answered carefully. We're still researching the hereditary patterns. After the conference, several researchers approached them about collaborating on future studies. Their work was opening up entirely new areas of scientific inquiry. I can't believe we're becoming famous for our love story, Alex joked as they packed to return home. It's not just a love story, Maya corrected. It's a story about what's possible when people stop fighting their connections and start building something beautiful together. Back at their university, their professors offered them both positions in a new research program focused on studying unusual genetic traits and family histories. They would be able to continue their work while finishing their graduate degrees. 1 year after the bond first formed, Alex and Maya had their own small laboratory, a growing body of research, and a relationship that felt both extraordinary and completely natural. "Do you think we'll find other people like us?" Maya asked one evening as they worked late in their lab. "I hope so," Alex said. "I think there are probably people out there who have experienced similar connections, but never understood what was happening to them." Maya smiled. "Maybe we can help them understand that it's not something to fight, it's something to celebrate." They had learned that the bond wasn't about losing themselves in each other. It was about finding the best versions of themselves through their connection. They were still individuals with their own interests, friends, and goals. But they were also partners in every sense of the word, supporting each other's dreams and building a future together. As they turned off the lights in their lab and walked home together under the campus streetlights, both Alex and Maya felt grateful for that accident in the chemistry lab. That had changed their lives forever. What had seemed like a curse at first had turned out to be the greatest gift either of them had ever received. The bond that had once frightened them had become the foundation for the happiest, most fulfilling relationship either of them had ever imagined. They had learned that love isn't about losing yourself in someone else. It's about finding yourself through your connection with them. And as they fell asleep that night, both of them dreamed the same dream they had shared since the beginning, running through forests together. But now they were running towards something beautiful instead of away from something frightening. Their story had become proof that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places, and that fighting destiny is often just a waste of energy that could be better spent building something wonderful.